Hey guys, Lost here. How are you doing? How have you been? Today I wanted to talk to you about a game that is near and dear to my heart. A game that I have admittedly played far too much of in the past, but not so much recently, and that's Arma 3. Today I wanted to talk to you about Arma 3 and its current state in 2020. This isn't so much a should you or should you not buy video, but a recap kind of the past few years and what its current state of the game is today. Because to be honest, I don't think I can tell you if you should or should not buy it. Like millions of other players, I have put countless hours into this game, and I just don't really have an answer for that. So let's begin by breaking down what Arma 3 is. For some of you newer PC gamers out there who don't really know the genre, Arma 3 is a military simulator / sandbox game made by Bohemia Interactive that came out in 2013. I want to make this clear right at the beginning that Arma 3 is not one of those games you will buy right off the shelf like a AAA title and jump right into. That's not how sandboxes work, and that's really not how Arma 3 works. Arma 3 is essentially a set of tools with the ability to host servers, different game modes, create maps, have different scenarios and missions go on in a military environment and setting. And that really is the feel you get when playing the game today. Yes, Arma 3 does have a single player storyline and it's worth checking out, but that's really not where most of the game is played. Though there have been additions to the storyline via DLC from the developers, both free and paid, that's not really where the main game and most of your time will be spent. Really, you play for the community and what the community creates. So basically the mods, and that is true more in 2020 than ever before. At the moment, Arma 3 has 11 paid DLCs. Some of course are bigger and better than others. It also has had 2 free DLCs since its launch. The reviews on Steam, both recently and overall, are very positive, so you don't just have to take my word for it. There are plenty of people out there who have done similar reviews, at least on the Steam store, for Arma 3. Now, although I've talked pretty greatly of Arma 3 so far, don't let that sell you quite yet. There are still plenty of problems with Arma 3 that have plagued it since its early development, and they unfortunately still exist. And that is, well, optimization. Unfortunately, one of the banes of Arma 3's existence has and always will be optimization, especially when there are lots of people on the server, if there are lots of mods running, and especially when there are a lot of AI being spawned in. Arma 3 is a taxing game on almost any rig. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Arma 3 is extremely processor heavy, so don't even think about upgrading your graphics card to the latest XXX Ultra $1,000 card, because that's really not going to change anything. Trust me, I've made that mistake before. Now, when it comes to the graphics, it still holds up to other games that came out at a similar time. However, in 2020, you can start to see it definitely lacking. The average person today logging on for the first time may not find anything too notable about the graphics, and they may even be unaccustomed to them. Though they were above average at the time it was released, they're certainly nothing to oogle at now. In short, they get the job done, but like I said at the beginning, the core game itself is not usually what people pay for. It's the experience and the community. One of the first questions that people will probably have when talking about a slightly older game is the community alive? Is it doing well? Is it a pretty toxic community now? Well, here's some good news. At the time of this video, Arma 3 is currently ranked the 39th most played game on Steam, with games like DayZ Standalone and The Witcher 3 just ahead of it, but it is also doing better than games like Fallout 4, RimWorld, and even newer games like Mount and Blade Bannerlord. As you can see, Arma is really keeping pace with a lot of fairly popular games today, and I for one am happy to see it. It's really one of those games that refuses to budge despite the ebb and flow of new releases, new AAA titles, and new multiplayer games popping up every year. So if anybody is worrying about the game dying off, don't. It might slip back through the next couple of years and start to fade into the backdrop, but it's still there. Arma 3 is not going anywhere. Now, is the community toxic when you go and play in public servers, like many people probably want to know? I would say at the very least it's just as toxic as any other public game might be. However, I would venture to say that it's actually less than you might expect. Because Arma 3 has such a learning curve, which we will talk about later, and it kind of takes a stubborn commitment for new players to play, a lot of people that are still there aren't really there to just wreak havoc. Now, of course, it does happen, as you'll get, helicopters will fly into buildings and take out half the server all at once, but that happens on most games. I would have to say in Arma 3, it is far less than it certainly used to be. So now more about that learning curve. If you are a new player trying to get into Arma 3, it's going to take some time. Now, I don't necessarily mean actually long hours, though that is possible. I'm more talking about the patience it takes to learn a fairly intricate game where almost every key can and will be used for something. Not to mention that every server is a little bit different depending on who made the game, who made the map, and who set up the rules for the server you're about to play on, because most of them are run privately. Now I know I've been talking a lot about the negatives, but now let's move into the positives. In short, Arma 3 is still the Arma all of you veterans know and love. Though the mechanics are still clunky, the gameplay is pretty much the same, and the community is still very much there. To any new players that are trying to get in, my best advice would be to join an Arma clan or a milsim unit. In my opinion, that's where the game always has and still flourishes, especially when you start to use mods. Now when it comes to mods, the modding community is what stokes the flames of the Arma 3 fanbase. Without the mods, Arma 3 would have died out in a 2 to 3 year lifespan, just like many games do. What you're looking at now is just one example of a mission that was created by a private individual using all sorts of mods as well as the tools in the game. Now more than ever, there are absurd mods out there that would have blown my mind a few years ago. Everything from Halo mods, Star Wars mods, even things with aliens and things that seem like fantasy. But if you're not into that, there are still plenty of mods that will completely enhance the immersive experience. Now, how does Arma 3 stack up to other milsim type games that are out there here in 2020? Well, it kind of depends what you're looking for. When I play Arma, I'm playing for a different reason than when I'm playing a game like Squad, though I love Squad dearly. If there's one sentence I can use to sum up Arma 3 is, you kind of get out what you put into it. In my humble opinion, Arma 3 still reigns king when it comes to the brutal and raw milsim experience. There are not really any other games today where you can sit and invest 2 hours into one single mission with some friends, planning out each intimate piece of your gear, marking down your path on the map, communicating only through radio and using a compass to find your objective. Now, of course, not all of Arma 3 is like that. There are certainly plenty of faster game modes you can play. However, that is just one example of a thing you can tailor to your specific taste in game. Like I said at the beginning, because Arma 3 is more like a toolbox than a complete game itself, you can kind of find whatever you want out of it. Now, any person with eyes can see that Arma is still very rough around the edges, to put it pretty nicely. But over the years, that has been slowly corralled by the community and by the developers into a game that is actually pretty streamlined nowadays. At the end of the day, Arma 3 is the most playable it has ever actually been. So with that, I think we are going to end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I kind of had to shake out the rust on this one. To be honest, I forgot how I usually end these things. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys later.